Welcome back to Investing Talk podcast. Today, we're tackling a question many of you have probably been asking about one of the world's most iconic companies. We're going to explore the latest on Apple and get into the big question: is now a good time to buy? We've gathered some pretty comprehensive sources to really dig into Apple's financial health, its market position, and its future prospects.
Ah,
Our mission here is to give you all the information you need, basically, to understand what's happening with Apple right now so you can make your own informed decisions. And hey, before we get too far, a quick reminder, if you're enjoying our discussions, please hit that subscribe button, give us a like too, and maybe leave a comment. We love hearing from you. Also, if there's a specific company you'd like us to look into next, just drop its name in the comments below.
Indeed. And understanding a company like Apple, well, it requires looking beyond just the headlines, doesn't it? We'll be connecting the dots between its fundamental strength that the charts are telling us and all the news and rumors swirling around. The goal is to see if its current valuation is justified or if there are maybe potential opportunities or risks you should be aware of.
Okay, let's unpack this company's core then. When we talk about Apple, yeah, we're talking about a titan, but even titans have their ups and downs. How did they actually perform in fiscal year 2024? What do the numbers say?
Well, what's fascinating here is the, let's say, nuanced picture. For FY 2024, Apple reported $383.3 billion in revenue. Now, that was actually a slight decrease, 2.8% year over year from the $394.3 billion in FY 2023.
Okay, a slight dip in revenue.
But, and this is the interesting part, net income was incredibly robust, $96.9 billion. And the diluted EPS, that came in at $6.37. Still very, very strong numbers.
So a slight dip on the top line, but still generating massive profits. What drove that revenue decline? And I guess, how did profitability stay so strong?
Yeah, good question. The sources indicate that lower device sales were the primary factor for that revenue dip. Fewer iPhones, iPads, maybe Macs sold. However, the company's services revenue, that showed steady growth. And management commentary, well, points to effective cost control and those really strong service margins. Those seem to be the key pillars supporting that impressive profitability.
makes sense.
And looking ahead, consensus analyst estimates for fiscal 2025, they're projecting low single-digit revenue growth. But earnings growth is expected to be driven more by services and what's called operating leverage.
Right, services have been such a big focus. What about their overall financial health? Like, are they sitting on a mountain of cash or are they burdened by debt?
That raises an important point about stability, right?
Yeah.
As of March 29, 2025, Apple had $61.5 billion in cash, cash equivalents, and marketable securities. Their total debt, including long-term debt and commercial paper, was $98.2 billion.
Okay, so more debt than cash on hand.
Technically, yes, it puts them in a modest net debt position. But, and this is crucial, they maintain incredibly high liquidity. Plus, they generated $110.5 billion in operating cash flow and almost $100 billion, $99.8 billion to be exact, in free cash flow in FY 2024. That is extremely strong.
Almost $100 billion in free cash flow. That's just an incredible amount of money. How are they using that cash then?
Well, a significant chunk is being returned directly to shareholders. For example, Apple repurchased $48.3 billion of its stock in just the 6 months ending March 29, 2025.
Wow.
Yeah, it shows a real commitment to capital returns, and it's clearly well supported by their, robust cash generation.
Okay, so financially very strong, returning cash. What about their position in the market itself? We all know Apple, but what really gives them their edge, their moat?
Right, the moat. If we connect this to the bigger picture, Apple is undeniably the world's leading consumer electronics and tech platform company, especially in premium smartphones, tablets, wearables. Their real strength, that moat you mentioned, it really comes from their integrated ecosystem. The hardware, the software, the services like the App Store, iCloud, Apple Pay. It all works together seamlessly, and that creates really high switching costs and incredible user retention. Once you're in, it's hard to get out.
So once you're in the Apple ecosystem, it really is hard to leave. But they must face competition, right? They can't be completely unchallenged.
Oh, absolutely. They face strong competition from Android phone makers, Microsoft in computing, and definitely emerging players in AI and AR/VR. But their brand strength, their sheer scale, and that deep customer loyalty, well, those continue to be significant differentiators for them.
Okay, that makes sense. Now let's switch gears a bit and look at the stock itself. What does the chart tell us about Apple's recent price action and trends?
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting for those watching the market movements. The latest closing price as of September 3rd, 2025 was $238.47. The 52-week range has been pretty wide, from about $168 up to almost $244. So $168 to 33.4 cents to $243.89.
So near the top of that range now.
Exactly. The stock's been in a sustained uptrend since those lows back in March, April 2025. It pushed into record territory, testing those all-time highs. Right now, it seems to be consolidating near that upper resistance level, specifically between $240 to $245, with maybe some near-term support around $225, $230.
So it's had a strong run, now pausing near its highs. What are the key technical indicators suggesting? Is there momentum still, or is it looking tired?
Well, that raises the question about short-term sentiment, doesn't it? The 200-day moving average, that's around $210. It's acting as a strong upward-sloping support region. The 50-day moving average is closer, around $230, indicating more immediate short-term support. The 14-day relative strength index, the RSI, it's around 63. That suggests it's maybe mildly overbought, but not excessively so. It's not screaming sell yet. And crucially, the MACD indicator, it confirmed a bullish cross back in mid-August. That generally signals positive momentum is still in play.
It sounds like the momentum is, well, positive overall, but maybe a bit extended given the RSI. What about volatility? Are bigger swings expected?
Implied volatility is moderately above the historical average. So yes, the market is expecting potentially larger price swings than usual. This often happens around big events like earnings or, those big product launches they do. Anticipation builds.
Right, the iPhone event effect. Okay, technicals are one piece. But what's been happening in the news cycle? What might be influencing sentiment? Are the analysts all agreeing on Apple?
Oh, far from it. This is where you see quite diverse perspectives. For instance, you have Morgan Stanley. They maintained an overweight rating, even raised their price target to $260 just recently, August 28th.
Okay, still bullish there.
But then, just a few days earlier, Barclays actually downgraded Apple to equal weight. They cited things like muted hardware innovation and demand normalization.
Muted innovation. That's a common critique.
It is. So you see the split. The general consensus among most big brokerages is still buy or overweight, but there's definitely a minority expressing caution, mostly because of the high valuation.
A mixed bag from the pros, then. What have been the most notable headlines lately that might be feeding into this?
Well, the key news items include Apple's Q3 2025 results, which basically met expectations. Services growth, again, outperformed hardware, reinforcing that trend. There have also been, accelerated rumors about AR/VR devices. Still no official launch confirmed, but the chatter is louder.
Right, the headset saga continues.
Exactly. And strategically, Apple expanded its retail presence in India, and they made a big move shifting production of all iPhone 17 models there. That's clearly aimed at reducing reliance on China and capturing those emerging markets. Plus, they raised Apple TV Plus subscription prices pretty significantly, over 30%.
Yeah.
Betting on premium content paying off.
That India shift is really interesting. What about internal activity? Have insiders, the execs, been buying or selling shares?
Yeah, that's something investors always keep an eye on. And there has been significant insider selling recently. Multiple senior executives like Arthur Levinson and Deirdre O'Brien filed Form 4s showing sales in August 2025.
Selling.
Now, it is important to note these were mostly done via prearranged 10b5-1 trading plans.
Ah, the scheduled plans.
Right, meaning they were set up in advance, so it's not necessarily a reaction to immediate news, and no single sale was huge for the individual. However, the aggregate amount of insider selling has trended up recently. It's a data point anyway.
Good context on the 10b5-1. What about the average investor? What's the chatter like, on social media, forums? Still bullish.
Retail sentiment seems largely bullish still, but there's definitely increasing caution about the valuation creeping in. Discussions often pit the optimism for, say, the AI and AR roadmap against the potential for a correction after this long rally. Kind of a tug of war.
Makes sense. Okay, looking forward then. What are the upcoming events or trends that could really impact Apple's stock, short term and longer term?
Yeah, several things on the horizon. Short term, obviously, speculation around a new AR/VR product launch and the iPhone 17 event. That's likely mid-September, based on past years.
Always a big one.
Always. Then we have the Q4 2025 earnings report covering the quarter ending September. That's expected late October or early November. That'll give us fresh numbers.
And beyond the next few months, what are the bigger picture catalysts people are watching?
Long term, it's about potential platform expansion, getting into new major product lines like AR/VR, maybe more AI-powered devices. Also, just continuous growth in their services and recurring revenue streams. That's become so important. And of course, ongoing large-scale capital returns. Those buybacks and dividends are a core part of the story now.
Are there any more maybe speculative or rumored catalysts out there, things that could really surprise the market?
Oh, definitely. Market chatter suggests maybe a major AI services expansion,
Hmm.
perhaps new generative AI features built right into the operating system, or unique Apple Intelligence partnerships. Industry speculation also points to maybe a more affordable mass market version of the AR/VR headset, perhaps even for this holiday season. That could be huge.
A cheaper Vision Pro type device? Interesting.
Could be. Rumors also persist about strategic acquisitions, maybe in digital health or AI. And analysts have even floated the idea of a special shareholder return, like a bigger buyback or dividend hike, just fueled by all that cash flow.
Lots of potential upside then. But every investment has risks. What should listeners really be aware of with Apple? What are the potential roadblocks?
Right, you have to balance the optimism. Stock-specific risks include that hardware reliance. The iPhone is still over half their revenue from FY24. Any stumble there hurts. There are also supply chain risks, especially with geopolitics and their concentration in China and Southeast Asia. Inventory management is key. And increasing regulatory scrutiny is a big one, especially around the App Store. That could impact service revenue. Plus currency fluctuations, a strong dollar can make their products pricier overseas.
And what about broader market or sector risks, things beyond Apple's direct control?
Well, consumer electronics are cyclical. Apple is exposed to discretionary spending trends.
Hmm.
A recession would hurt. Global demand shifts matter. Also, as we mentioned, Apple currently trades at a premium valuation versus its peers based on forward PE and cash flow. If the overall market decides tech multiples should come down, Apple's share price could be sensitive to that, even with strong fundamentals. Less room for error, you could say.
Okay, so after unpacking all of this, the financials, the technicals, the news, the risks, how would you sum up the investment thesis for Apple right now? Where do we land?
Well, connecting all those dots, the sources seem to suggest, let's say, an overall rating around 7.5 out of 10. Solid, but with caveats. The strengths are undeniable, right? World-class balance sheet, massive free cash flow, that deep competitive moat, robust buybacks and dividends. The services growth and the ecosystem really bolster its resilience.
But as you said, every story has two sides. What are those key risks that balance that score out? Keep it from being a 10.
The significant risks really boil down to a few things. The high valuation is probably number one. The historical PE ratio is around 28x, which is definitely above its long-term average. A lot is priced in. We also see that slowing hardware growth trend, the increased insider selling we talked about, even if it's planned, and those incremental but potentially impactful regulatory risks.
Okay, so what does this mean for someone thinking about investing? Is the approach different for short-term versus long-term?
Yeah, that's an important question for different investors. In the short term, the stock does look a bit extended, near that upper resistance level. Expectations are high going into these next few events. That leaves maybe limited room for error if there's any disappointment.
Right.
For the long term, though, Apple is still considered a very high-quality company. It's well-suited for patient investors looking for compounders, companies that grow steadily over time. However, given the current elevated entry price, you probably need to manage your expectations for future returns. It might not repeat the massive gains of the past decade from this starting point. Our performance will likely depend heavily on continued success in services and, crucially, the successful launch of truly new product categories.
So it really sounds like for many, this is perhaps best suited for patient, long-term investors who believe in that future innovation story. So for those of you asking, is now a good time to buy Apple? Well, it's clear there's a lot to consider. While its foundational strength, that amazing ecosystem, and cash generation are really compelling, the current valuation and, frankly, the need for new innovation to drive significant growth, those are key factors.
Precisely. Ultimately, the question isn't just about the company's quality, which is high, but it's about the price you pay for that quality.
Mhm.
And, what future successes are already baked into that stock price today.
And that leaves us with maybe a provocative thought for you to consider. In an era where innovation is moving at just lightning speed, can even the most dominant tech giant like Apple continue to redefine itself enough to justify its premium valuation? Or will it require a completely new kind of Apple moment, something truly revolutionary, to really break out again and deliver those outsized returns from where it stands today? Thank you for joining us on Investing Talk Podcast. We hope this exploration into Apple helps you on your own investment journey. Until next time, stay curious and keep learning.